Okay, this is the video notes for 1.6a. In this video, we will be talking about absolute value equations and what they really are. So when working with absolute value equations, oftentimes how people will make the mistakes here is not remembering that we have two equations that we're going to be dealing with, or even understanding the concept of why we have two equations in absolute values. So the reason why we have absolute value equations is that it gives us a distance from zero that a number is. Okay? So what I mean by that is we have two numbers that are technically 4 units away from zero. 4 is 4 away from zero, and negative 4 is also 4 away from zero. Negative 8 is 8 away from zero, just the same as 8 is, and so on. Okay? So what we're going to be doing here in this example that we should start with is explaining how we have a negative 12 here and we have a 12 here. Okay? And both of those are going to be 3x units away from 0. They're both 3x away. Okay? In the opposite directions. And we know that they're 12 because this is a 12. Okay? So that means that we need to count for the negative 12 answer and the 12 answer. And what they'll ask us to do today in all of our assignments afterwards is actually solve for that x value. Okay? So in this case, what we basically say is, I want to know what x is. And we know that 3x is negative 12 away, so we set it equal to negative 12. We divide the 3 away, and we should get x is equal to negative 4. The same goes for this one over here. We know that this 3x is at 12, so we divide 3, and x is equal to 4. So we end up with an answer of a negative 4 and a positive 4. Okay? Two answers for one equation. And that's totally okay. Most of the time in absolute value equations, especially for today, we'll be getting two answers. So what I want us to do, at least, is remember that we have a positive case in our equation and we have a negative case in our equation. And that's the same for all absolute values except for a select few. So, the first step that we're going to be working with today is understanding how to rewrite our equations, how to get our answers. So the first step in what we want to do is we want to rewrite our equation. So because absolute values have two answers, they're going to have two equations. You can kind of see here at our top problem here with the negative 12 and the 12 that we had two kind of separate equations and we got two answers. The same is going to happen here for number 1. Only this time we have a positive and a negative is how we want to think about it. So if I rewrite it, I get an x plus 2 is equal to 5. That's my positive 5. And an x plus 2 is equal to negative 5. And I have to account for both because x plus 2 is 5 units away. That means negative 5 and 5 away from 0. And then I solve it like a normal equation. So x is equal to 3. And x is equal to negative 7. Now notice, we cannot have x equaling both. That's not how it really works. So instead what we need to do is put it in what is called a set. Or in how I do it with my 8th graders, that I explain it as squiggles. Okay? What you want to do is put squiggles around it. This is called set of solutions. You have a set of solutions. 3 and negative 7 both work, or are both true statements for this equation. Okay? So my actual answer is negative 7 and 3. We have to do the same. Now we go on to number 2, and we do the same exact steps as we had previously, right? So we need to separate it into a positive and a negative case. Okay, x plus 6 equals 4. X plus 6 equals negative 4. Solve your equation. Minus your 6. X equals negative 2. Minus your 6. X equals negative 10. And remember, we need to put it in the squiggles so that we're correct all the way. And the order of that you put the numbers doesn't matter, actually. All that matters is that you have both of them in there. Same thing follows for this. In the previous two, we had to subtract the number because it was plussing it. In here, we're going to have to do a little bit of division. But as always, you want to make sure you split it into your positive and negative case to start. 6x equals 48. And 6x equals negative 48. From there, the 6 is multiplying the x, so we want to divide it away. Those cancel, leaving me with x is equal to 8. Same thing over here. We divide the 6, the x's cancel, and x is equal to a negative 8. Okay? And make sure you put your answers inside the squiggles. So, pause there if you need to. Gather yourself, write down what you need to. At any time, remember you're watching a video. You can pause this if you need to. So let's move on to number 4. Pause here, split your equation, see if you get the same thing as me. Okay? So, first thing, remember, you want to split your equation into 2. Your positive and your negative case. From there, how do we normally get numbers at the bottom? We have to multiply them, right? So our 8's cancel, x is equal to 32. Over here, times both sides by 8. Our 8's cancel, x is equal to negative 32. There's your answer, right? Really straightforward and simple. In those first 4, we were only having to do one operation. In number 5 and onward, we're going to have to end up doing 2 or multiple operations. Okay, so be aware of that. So let's do number 5. Split your case. 5. You want to have your positive case and your negative case, right? So we want to have 7 minus 10x equals 63, and 7 minus 10x equals negative 63. So, just like before, in solving multi-step equations like we have in the past videos, make sure you're subtracting the 7, that's your furthest away from your x. Negative 10x equals 54. Or, yeah, no, I apologize, not 54. 56. Yeah, 56. Okay, should be 56. You divide both sides by a negative 10. And I would encourage you to learn how to reduce. You want to make sure that these are fractions, okay? Look at the calculator. Your calculator should have an ability, if you want to just put this in as a fraction, you should end up with negative 28 over 5 as your first answer, okay? That's a reduced version. That's what your teacher will expect on your tests and your assignments. Moving on to our next, we subtract the 7. The 7's go. Same thing over here. Negative 10x equals negative 70. Divide both sides by negative 10. Your 10's cancel. X equals 7. And remember, you want to make sure that your answer is going to be inside of your little brackets or your set brackets. Okay, there you go. Let's move on to number 6. Okay. Once again, you are going to want to separate your case. You want a positive case, you want a negative case. So your positive case will be 8x plus 5 equals 27. And your negative case is 8x plus 5 equals negative 27. Subtract your 5 from both sides. That gives you 8x equals 22. Divide your 8. Remember, 8 doesn't go perfectly into 22, but we need to make sure that we reduce it. If you understand how to do that, that's great. For me, I know that 22 and 8 are both divisible by 2, so 22 divided by 2 is 11, and 8 divided by 2 is 4, and those don't reduce anymore from there. Okay? Moving on to your negative case, you subtract 5 from both sides, you get 8x equals a negative 32. Divide both sides by 8. X equals negative 4. Remember to put your answers inside of your little brackets. Okay? Alright, good. Let's move on to our last 3 problems here. Your positive case is going to be 4 plus 2x equals 24. and 4 plus 2x equals negative 24. Subtract your 4. Put your line, those cancel. You're left with 2x is equal to 22. Divide both sides by 2. X is equal to 11. And you'll notice that I'm going to end up doing the same exact steps, but I'm getting different answers because of this negative 24 versus a positive 24 here. It's the same thing. It's a pattern, kind of. What I do to one, I end up doing to the other side as well. 2x is equal to a negative 28. Divide both sides by 2. Your 2's cancel. X is equal to a negative 14. Put those in your brackets. You get a negative 14 and 11. There's your answer. Okay? From there, let's move on to number 8. We have our positive case and we have our negative case again. 5x minus 2 equals 42 is your positive, and 5x minus 2 equals negative 42 is your negative. Add your 2 to both sides. 5x equals 44. You divide by 5. And the good thing about this one is that 5 and 44 don't have anything in common, so my answer is just 44 over 5. It's really easy, it just lays that last step. Okay? Moving on to our negative case, again, you add 2 to both sides, and you get 5x equal to a negative 40. So those 2's cancel. Divide both sides by 5. 5's cancel. X is equal to a negative 8. Make sure your answers go inside your little box here. There's your answer. Okay. Let's look at number 9. What are we doing here? We got to go positive and negative case. Positive and negative case. Every single time you will have a positive and negative case. There are certain times where there won't, but we'll talk about those in the next video. Divide your 5. And b should be equal to a negative 8 over 5. I forgot to do my negative case. Now it's okay, just make sure we have to do it right here. Minus your 9. 5b is equal to a negative 10. Negative 1 minus 9 is 10, negative 10. Divide both sides by 5. 5's cancel. And b should be equal to a negative 2. Make sure they go inside. And there you go. There's your answer. Okay? So, that should be all of the work that we need on this. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you guys can kind of see what we've done. If you need to take a screen grab of this, follow along, or you're trying to catch up a little bit, these are your answers that you're going to be looking for. Okay? We're going to be adding a little bit more to this in our next video. If you need those, it's 1.6b.